Nice. Hi, it's Seth from Elephant Sessions here, and this is Content Essentials. Okay, so Content Essentials. Basically, this is an essential list of things that you have to do with your content to keep people's attention. People, when they're scrolling through their phones or on their news feeds or whatever, they fly through so quickly, so you have to grab their attention. First few seconds have to be so feature-laden to keep people there, like almost over-edited or over-packed with information and like attention-grabbing stuff, stopping from scrolling through, because they'll just keep going. So it's essential to make your content visually interesting, to make it succinct and to the point, and to make it take up as much space in their visual feed as possible. So with it being Instagram or something like that, if you're scrolling through using square images or using 4:5 images, aspect ratio, that takes up more phone screen, more real estate on your phone and in the newsfeed than anything else. So if you're scrolling through, you'll take up the whole of the screen if you use those formats. Now, when you put in the content out, you should always think about, like, objectively, whether this is actually grabbing people's attention or whether it's like too much of a slow build. If it doesn't grab you straight away, you lost it. This could be like a quick edit of the stuff that's going to appear in the rest of the video as a precursor to get people's attention. It could be some live footage that's related to what you're doing with loads of flashing lights. It could be something completely unrelated, or maybe just you shouting at a camera, whatever it is that breaks up their attention in the newsfeed of scrolling. If it can grab you, then brilliant. It's also super important that your content is authentic and totally personal to you. There's no point trying to be someone else that you're not. If it's not who you are, it'll show through as fake and people won't be into it. So you need to use your personality and your interests and drive that through your music and into your content. Otherwise it doesn't come across as real. So at the start of the video, you would have seen me using one of these. This is called a lens cloth. You should use it. The amount of really good footage which is completely tarnished by having smeary lenses is unbelievably infuriating. Use a lens cloth, particularly on a phone. Don't clean it with your thumb, don't breathe on it, or use your jumper or whatever. Use a lens cloth, make sure it's fully clean and nice and crystal clear, because there's nothing worse than a big smeary image and you can't go back and get it again if you capture gold and it's got a big smear over it. Don't overthink it. It's not rocket science. This is really simple. Just try and think what would grab people's attention. Try and think of something which makes you stand out in the feed. You don't have to overdo it. It's just grab them. Grab them, grab them, grab them. Now, when you're sizing your content, make sure that you've orientated it to the correct orientation, whether it be landscape or portrait. Landscape, when you're scrolling through a phone, only takes up a small amount of the screen. Portrait is much better for phone viewing, so if it's likely that the content's going to be viewed on phone, like on Instagram or something like that, make sure it's portrait. If you're using Instagram stories, that's 16:9, which is a standard video, but it's portrait. So turn it and make sure that you're filming and creating your content so that it's that way around. It just means it's so much easier to edit, and if the footage is designed to go that way, then you can be more creative with it. It makes you think in a different way. It's not like looking at a traditional TV, because you will be viewing it differently on your phone. To save confusion on this, square is 100% the best format to shoot things in. It is the most transferable across all the different social media platforms, and whatever orientation you're looking at, whether it be landscape or portrait, it's always going to be exactly the same. So again, this opens up different creative possibilities because a square frame just looks different. You think about the positioning of the frame differently. It changes how you view what you're doing, and it gives you loads of extra space to play with, or you can be really close cropped and confined, whatever works for you. But it creates a different feel and it's more practical for social media. The absolute optimum for all these different channels is actually 4:5, which is just above square, but not like a normal full photo. So 4:5 would be large format, old school film photography. and that gives you the optimum feed coverage. So when you're looking at it on your phone, the way that it shows up, 4:5 will fill the most screen. So you'll take the whole of that screen up, and for that period of time when your post is going up, the viewer is entirely dedicated to what you've put on screen. Now, shooting in 4:5 for video, it can be difficult sometimes. I mean, you can use the crop features on some of the things like Instagram, etc. Sometimes square is just easier. So square is more transferable. It's sometimes easier. 4:5 will fill the most space. For these formats, if you've already got content that's filmed in 16:9, which is your standard wide format film footage, so your music videos are likely to be in that format or anything similar to that, don't get hung up on trying to crop it down. If it just isn't working, don't worry about it. You can post up your music video and people will watch it in its content, whether that be on YouTube, whether that be on Instagram or whatever. If you can make a small crop editor of it as a way of promoting the fact that you have that video and then driving traffic to it, that works great. But don't worry about trying to crop down something if it's just not working. Like if you're cropping band members out of a shot, don't worry about it, it's fine. Make sure as well to include the Scottish landscape if you can. It may seem twee, it may seem like it doesn't necessarily fit with what you're doing, but from an international perspective, international audiences love to see place and identity in what you're doing. And if you can provide that through the landscape, which your music is intrinsically linked to, then that's a brilliant feature to include. A lot of the different social media channels that we've been looking at over this series have all said that when they include the landscape in their features, it always does well. The Tidelines, when they were doing the TikTok series, if they sent Robbie up a mountain, that got so much more engagement than something else they would do if they were just sat in their house. It provides a sense of spectacle and a sense of scale. There's identity and authenticity there. So make sure to include it if you can. It goes a long way. So to summarize, grab attention. Keep it, hold it. Make sure everything's nice and clean and succinct. Use the landscape if you can. It looks great. Make sure that you're filming in a format that is suited to social media if that's what your aim is. So square or 4:5, make sure you're shooting in that, and clean your lens so that whatever you're filming is nice and crisp and clear and it'll look great.